Alrighty, we got our book here. I noticed that the first sentence was very captivating, pulled me right in. Early on, I noticed that our character is displaying, poor self-image, is speaking in fixed terms, focusing heavily on the external forces that have made his life bad, bullies, being poor, being an Indian. His perception is not great. He's a bit naive. He employs a victim mindset. He has a lot of resentment. Although his comedy is very good. I really like coming of age kind of cringe humor, and he does a good job here, I think. Here I noticed that even just from the beginning of the chapter, he has a perception change, and once he gets to really talking about his feelings, he starts to change a little bit, or at least shows potential for change. Here I highlight, we reservation Indians don't get to realize our dreams. We don't get those chances, our choices. We're just poor. That's all we are. Here he is speaking in fixed terms, talking poorly about being poor. This chapter really got me though, because I'm a big animal person, and to sort of be able to relate to this experience a little bit was rough. And I think our character Junior is going through and trying to make sense of a lot of feelings that even a lot of adults have a hard time making sense of. Again, noted that he's showing potential to develop a growth mindset, but still very much lives in a victim mentality. Poor decision-making skills, talking poorly about oneself. I know how I can empathize a bit, how our character is only 14, and how that kind of immature mindset kind of makes sense. I think it's funny that he talks that isosceles triangles make him hormonal. I again noticed the cringe humor when in coming of age comedy when he's talking about masturbation so brashly. Here we still have a victim's mindset. His hopes and dreams were crashed just because he had an old book. He didn't think he was going to be able to learn up to his standards. This whole dialogue between him and Mr. P after he threw the book at Mr. P is about the teacher's kind of talking to the student a bit about personal accountability and what he's done while not taking a victim mentality himself. Low feelings of self-worth, a huge theme for this book in this class. I know there's always time to change your life. I think that's great. I note that even in the face of certain struggle, our character makes a decision for the enrichment of his education, sparked by Mr. P and supported by his parents. I like this play on Dickinson's words about we Indians were the worst of times, and those Reardon kids were the best of times. I know how in my personal life I've seen how people like Rowdy find it easier to take someone's attempt at betterment as a personal insult. Part-time Indian. Notice that there. First mention of our character's real name, Arnold Spirit. I love the unofficial and unwritten Spokane Indian rules of fisticuffs. Hilarious. Some highlighted things here. He tried to figure out what to do because he was afraid. I noticed that this is step 3 in our decision-making process. This note here I had to make note of because our character says that this line here that I cannot possibly say was the most racist thing he'd ever heard in his whole life. And I gotta say, holy moly, I agree. That's up there. That took me back. Our character is still displaying victim mentality, being unaccountable. This chapter was a roller coaster of emotions. He begins with self-doubt, but when it comes go time, Arnold uses his grandma's suggestion, and when she turned out to be right, he felt almost human. He needs to emotionally regulate better. I relate to Arnold's sadness here, because when I was a teen, I was often surrounded by unsupported friends. Rowdy's lack of support. Arnold will never adopt a positive growth mindset if he listens to Rowdy's advice. I love this description of how he stood there and waited for rocks to replace his bones and blood as they were talking about the petrified wood and the minerals replacing the wood. I know that this is a roller coaster of emotions. Highlighted here. If you're good at it and you love it, it helps you navigate the river of the world. It cannot be wrong. Huge theme, I think. Another big theme. The world, even smallest parts of it, are filled with things you don't know. Several notes there. Several notes here. The act of finishing, completing, and accomplishing a task is joyous. I think that's a huge lesson that we're learning in class. There are all kinds of addicts, I guess. We all have pain. We all look for ways to make the pain go away. Absolutely true, I think. Note how I just used the word absolutely. Another change in perception here about his sister moving. I like this quote. I want to walk on the Great Wall of China. I want to top the pyramids of Egypt. I want to swim in every ocean. I want to climb Mount Everest. I want to go on an African safari. I want to ride a dog sled in Antarctica. I want all of it, every single piece of anything. Penelope knows what she wants, I think. I love this. This whole privileged white girl conversation was one that was happening a lot in a lot of my social media groups when the Gabby Petito murder happened. I'm pretty sure that was going on probably a lot of groups. I'm in a lot of feminist groups and true crimes. All those two things overlapped pretty well. These here, I notice Arthur's having pathway thoughts about which way he can try and handle his uncomfortable situation. Being honest with himself leads to growth. Interdependence and emotional intelligence is displayed in this chapter. Two highlights here. You have to dream big to get big. I like that. He bumped me, pushed me, and elbowed me, but I stayed with him. Rolling with the punches, literally, and sticking with it. Sense of accomplishment earned by Arnold. A great lesson in emotional intelligence. The quality of a man's life is in indirect proportion to his commitment and excellence, regardless of the chosen field of endeavor. Another huge theme I think I am picking up on for this class and in our textbook. I like this came to mind when I was reading the chapter. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. Came to mind. Arnold notes his sister is goal-oriented with a time frame, which is good. Here I wrote quite a bit. To save time, I will just let you read it. Notice how I like Arnie's sense of humor again. This chapter has themes of community, support systems, and the importance of those in times of adversity. We must stay on track even when in times of hardship. Another thing I was picking up on here. I love making lists. I love how he made lists. That's literally one of my favorite things to do. I once read a book called, I think it was called 1051 Things to Be Happy About, which is just a continuous list of things that make the author happy. I really like that. I often would get sick because I'm nervous, can relate to that. I like this. I said pressure makes diamonds as far as expectations of others on yourself. Haha, funny stuff going on here. Some little long excerpts I wrote. Perception changing. This was all about the game. This here, I know that I feel like our author is talking about how our one play can also be our one decision in life can change so much. I notice here that from our textbook, we are looking at value times expectation equals M. Fuck, I forgot what that means right this second. I note here that Arnold's been through a lot of loss in his life, and a lot of friends that I've had have never grieved a parent or a grandparent even, and I have lost a lot of people in my life, including my mother-in-law to alcohol, which I think is relevant. This here, when our sister passes away. Shocking. Shocked me. But I like his dark humor. Gotta, I feel like we have to do that. This is all very sad. But shows the importance of support systems in times of hardship, I think. Highlighted. I realized that I may be a lonely Indian boy, but I was not alone in my loneliness. There were millions of others of Americans who had left their birthplaces in search of a dream. All very deep, very good conversation with Rowdy, showing the potential for growth in the future. Here, Arnold starts another goal to achieve. And I note that in the end, because Arnold has made decisions within his own life that will better set up his chances of success, Rowdy seems to truly believe in Arnold. Like Gordy inspired and motivated Arnold, Arnold may get to be that person to Rowdy. And that hopefully they can both obtain a growth mindset. Although Arnold displayed more growth than Rowdy, Rowdy did get some character development, and possibly here at the end that he may have a chance at employing a growth mindset for himself. I thought the book was really good. I picked up on a lot of the main themes that make a lot of sense for this class.